Hey, look at that. We got another fine gentleman on the front of this.
Alrighty.
I feel a
Almost
little
there.
awkward because we went to the market today and I got a canned bubble tea. And the gentleman behind the counter is like, do you want a straw for that? And I'm like, for my canned bubble tea? And then he'd already put it in the thing. And I'm like, okay, I guess. So now I've got like a big, one of those like big radius plastic straws that you would normally get for like a bubble tea at a place. But I've got a can of it right now. And I'm like, is this how this is supposed to happen?
Well, I would recommend opening the can before inserting the straw.
Yeah.
That seems like the proper order of operations.
Do I have to shake well before use? Okay. Everything wants me to shake it today. My soup wanted me to shake it. This tea wants me to shake it. Vivian keeps asking me to shake it. Anyway. Everyone say thank you to Vivian for taking time out of her busy Pokey Rogue schedule to come do an episode.
Hey, you've been playing exactly as much as I have. Maybe more.
And yet, when it was time to record, I was already ready to go.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that.
Now, if I recall the guide correctly, we actually don't have decision points in this one. When I looked at the guide for this one to get the CG, it just said, just enjoy the route. And I'm like, okay.
Calm and pain ensue.
That sounds about right.
Huh. I chose to observe Suo Kato.
Vivian's going to talk to herself a lot this episode, so that's why I've got my drink ready to go.
Thus, I began looking around for him, eventually finding myself in an alley.
Dude finds himself in a lot of alleys, doesn't he?
I then noticed a shadow longer than mine on the ground and turned around. Suo, what is it? There was something I wanted to ask you, so I went ahead and followed you.
I'm kind of wondering, like, would Suo work really well with, like, kind of a Mayushi intonation? There was something I wanted to ask you, so I went and followed you. I'm not as good at it as you are. You're very good at that.
Well, wasn't that just adorable? What did he want, though?
Hold on, Natsume. That's how he gets you. He's like a golden retriever, except blue.
Sure, ask away. I want to know more about you.
You seem like you might be the main character, so maybe if I...
How did you get to know Natsume? What was your relationship like? What kind of person was he in your eyes? Slow down, I can't answer that many questions at once. I was barraged with inquiries. Suo Kato suddenly made distance between us and put himself together. I'm sorry. It's fine. You're that curious about Natsume, huh? Yes. I mean, I never saw him with other people, you know?
Yeah,
That stung. This might sound rude, but I'm actually surprised he had 4 other friends besides me.
I thought I was the main character. I'm gonna keep pointing that out about you, buddy.
That stung even harder. I see. I was so very surprised. I thought about it many times after the funeral, but I just couldn't imagine him talking to any other people. Ugh. So, how exactly did he act around you? Did he treat you any differently compared to me? Did he smile for everyone like he did for me? What kind of person was he to you, Suo? My question made him beam. He was like a nice older brother. We were neighbors, so we hung out a lot. But as we got older, I began to see him less and less often.
Well, that's not good.
I really wonder what he was like in school. Was he an honor student? The student council president, maybe? He was dealing blow after blow to my ego without even realizing it.
Huh. That kind of sounds a little bit like... It's interesting that Suo was friends with Natsume for a long time growing up, and then they started seeing each other less and less often. I wonder if the invisible friend that would become Mamiya kind of grew out of that.
I don't know, maybe.
It always feels like the MAMIYA to each of these characters is somehow related to the void that Natsume filled in their lives.
That's interesting.
I wonder if I'm onto something with that or if I'm just bullshitting.
Sorry, Suo Kato.
Not gonna. Oh.
I actually didn't stand out at all as a student. In fact, some people had even compared me to air itself. Please keep the image of me you have of me in your head. Yeah. As I gave my silent prayer, he seemed to realize something. I want to be a detective too. Huh? Natsume, I want you to take me as your assistant. My what? If I learned the tricks of a detective, I might be able to investigate these things on my own.
Natsume furiously Googling how to become detective.
Then I wouldn't have any regrets like I did with Natsume. Suo. Also, the others are all so mysterious, it's like they're hiding something. You mean the other three? That's what you think about them. Remember the day we were looking around for them? I do. Weren't we on the exact same page all the time? I guess we were. See? Having an assistant might actually help. As Suo Kato tilted his head to the side, I spent a few moments pondering what he had just said. An assistant to a detective. Do you perhaps have any medical knowledge? What? Oh, forget I said that. I'm just messing with you.
I'm literally neurodivergent and a minor.
Embarrassed by my own childishness, I waved my hand to deflect his question. There was no need to overthink it. To him, this was merely an experience he would find new and refreshing, nothing more. Okay, I hereby dub you my temporary assistant. Wow, really? I'm not sure how to feel about temporary, though.
If it's not temporary, then I have to legally pay you. Also, child labor laws exist, probably.
You need proper training to be a detective.
I don't believe that's actually true. I think in Japan you just need to pass a licensing exam.
I see. That's true. I'll be looking forward to your tutelage, Natsume. Could I just get in the United States, could I just get a business card declaring that I was a private eye and then I would be one, or is there more to it than that?
I don't know. The only reason I had an idea about it is because of something I looked up a long time ago. But imagine you could just get a business card that said private eye on it.
You can.
Legally speaking. And have it not be fraudulent? I don't know. If you know what the legal requirements are to declare yourself a private eye in the United States of America happen to be, let us know for background detail. Definitely no other reason.
Now, first of all, when's our next case? That's not up to the detective to decide. The two of us agreed to meet before next Friday. Our meeting location was the nearby cafe. It's almost time. I looked around. There was no way I could miss someone with that height and vibrant hair.
I like that look on Kato. It's very comfy, and is that like an Argyle sweater?
Seems like
Is my dude wearing an Argyle sweater? You look like you're 30. That's awesome for you. And then, oh man, that's an outfit I absolutely would wear in high school. I would have worn in high school. Absolutely.
A tall youth approached me while hiding behind every electric pole.
Does he think private eye means playing like Solid Snake?
No untailing, target clear. Suo Kato arrived wearing a deerstalker hat.
He even presumes himself to be Sherlock. He's not even trying to be the Watson. He's trying to be the Sherlock. Wow. Dude.
Suo, you're actually the type to really get into things, aren't you? Shh. Don't use my real name. You'll expose my identity.
Also, Coward's not giving him the deer stalker in his sprite.
Yeah. Although they may have. He's tall enough that it would go right off the top of the screen.
You're absolutely right. Maybe we don't know.
It could be up there.
We'll have to wait for the widescreen re-release. In this case, the widescreen is actually vertical.
What should I call you then? Let's use code names. Oh, I mean words that only we understand the real meaning of.
I've played that game before. It's very fun. A good party game for a handful of people.
Mountain. River. Okay, let's keep it up. Anything goes, huh? I made several hasty nods before pushing him into the cafe. Suo Kato seemed puzzled even as we went in.
Did he make up a case for Suo?
I don't know. Huh? About me? He ordered a soda float while I had some black tea. Yeah, if I'm to have you as my assistant, I need to know a bit more about you. Makes sense, right? Oh, how detective-like. You don't take anything at face value.
Really? I hear detectives will only take anything that is spoken in the actual literal text to be the truth. If it's not spoken aloud, it cannot be true.
Well, I wouldn't want a spy following me around, you know? I drank some of my tea. I could tell how excited he was even as I closed my eyes. I'd already known everything Suo Kato went on to tell me from my reading of his story. Do you enjoy school? I do. I feel like everyone asks me that, though. I wonder why. Well, it's a way for adults to reminisce about their own school days. They can't go back to them after all. God, imagine reminiscing about the school days.
I reminisce about school days, but not because of classwork or anything like that. I reminisce about having the mandated environment that had structure to it, which I got to meet people my own age and develop those friend groups. Not having that is something I do miss.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I don't. When I reminisce about that age, it's not because I wish I had done more homework assignments. If anything, do less homework assignments. Unless you are literally in the running to be cum laude, then missing one assignment is not going to drastically change your grade unless it's one of those classes where it's like a 30% of your grade project, right?
SK Relatable's academic advice.
I'm serious. If the choice is between having a healthy day to yourself, doing something you really want to do on a Friday, and missing the chance to turn in one homework assignment that you get every week, like, I don't know, learn the stuff, but I feel like there's value in being like I have something important I need to do. I'm gonna miss the time to do this assignment. Oh, that's not wrong. What would I rather have the chance to have like to go out with my I'm not saying shirk all your work. I'm just saying you can make those decisions.
I'm not saying shirk all your work. I'm just saying consider shirking it.
Yes. Yes. You're not going to get to age 30 and wish you had spent that Friday doing one extra fucking vocab sheet, okay? Learn your stuff, but like, you know what? I feel like I'm not expressing this well, and people are just going to blame the silly person on YouTube. So maybe we move on.
SK Relatable says slack off in school. You heard it here first.
It's not what I said.
That's not how it works. Really? Some people can handle juggling school and work, but for most, it's too much trouble to be worth it. I'm in danger.
There's not enough of my bubble tea left to sip it through my straw, so if I sip it, I'll just make a lot of obnoxious noises now.
I see. Fantastic.
That one's for you. If you want more of that, you have to go subscribe to my OnlyFans.
He drank his soda float, seemingly not fully understanding my answer.
SK drinking boba tea and then chewing on the tapioca pearls ASMR.
I see. Adults have to make their own money, huh?
Yes, with a printing press.
I was thinking I'd make my own. Kato coin.
No! Come on, we're finally past the era of stupid blockchain bullshit, aren't we? Aren't we? I feel like it had its peak and we're now on the back end of it. I won't say we're fully past the era, but I definitely feel like we're on the tail end.
I don't think this is the case, but I'm also not going to get into it now. We have something far more important in front of us.
Fair enough.
The ice cream had melted to perfection. I scooped some up with a metal spoon. Exactly, adults are responsible for their own lives. I took the cherry on top and rolled it around in my mouth. The light filtering in through the windows cast a pleasant haze over me. It was like a cloud of aqua cotton candy was floating around, and it made me feel like I was in a picture book. All right, time to investigate. Wait up, Suokato.
What are they investigating? Suokato wishes he was in P4.
Once we'd arrived in town, Suokato began zigzagging between a variety of places. I had a hard time keeping up.
Is he gonna want to investigate, like, his parents or something?
He asked the people around various questions, only to move elsewhere when he had enough. A student doing club activities and an adult detective. The difference in our physiques couldn't have been more obvious. Slow down, Suokato. Natsume, this feels so good.
Oh, Natsume likes being 23, but doesn't like all the other parts that come with it, huh? Huh?
He only calmed down when we reached the riverside. The area was open and the sky above was vast beyond words. And although the wind had picked up a bit, it was pleasant all the same. I sat down on a nearby bench and watched as Suokato let the vastness of the sky embrace him. What about the investigation? Have you already had enough?
Investigation of what? You can't just ask people questions and calling it an investigation. An investigation has a point.
Does it?
Yes, you have to have something you're investigating.
I'm gonna investigate.
Otherwise, it's just sparkling question asking.
I'm investigating.
Vivian is currently poking and prodding me with her hand.
I'm investigating.
I'm choosing to just ignore this and
I've
move
reached
on.
a conclusion.
All right, what's your conclusion?
It's a secret.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, look, it's a balloon.
Got sick and tired of it, found a new shiny.
Whatever. Apparently, he'd grown tired of playing detective.
He just wants a pop-up figure to play with.
He was too busy chasing a yellow orb floating in the sky.
Suo, that's the sun.
Seeing him like that, I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. I felt like I was reliving one of my old summer vacations. It warmed my heart. When the sun had begun to set, Suokato and I were looking at the sky side by side. Every single day since Natsume's funeral has been strange. I met people I hadn't even passed on the street. We talked every week. It all feels so new and unexpected, but in a good way. I can definitely tell that my life's taken a different course. He flashed the kind of grin that could get a smile out of anyone.
And that course is Econ 201.
You're an adult, but you don't seem like one. Same with Morichika. I actually quite like the group you've made. You're adults, but you're still so full of life. He looked at me with a gaze full of yearning and excitement. It made me feel a little awkward. At the same time, though, he was so dazzling that I found myself wanting to live up to his expectations. The world is replete with wonderful things to discover even after you've become an adult. More freedom than you have now, many new experiences to enjoy. That was just a guess. I'd only lived until my high school years. Even so, in my current state, I appeared as a full-grown adult to him. I spoke as though trying to remember with my body. You too will become an adult one day. That's true. I'll be an adult. The wind had yet to die down. His summery locks danced in the breeze, covering up a part of his face. New things to enjoy? I can't wait.
Yes, new things to enjoy, like booze. And tobacco products. And getting to rent a car.
And masturbatory aids. His joyful response filled me with relief.
What else can you only do when you're at a certain age? Fighting in the military.
Signing a mortgage.
Signing a mortgage.
Filing your taxes. Wow.
Wow. Congratulations on becoming a taxpayer.
Natsume. A gust of wind passed us.
By the way, if you live in America, make sure to file your taxes soon.
Oh god, we gotta do our taxes.
I've been getting tax ads for like the past month now.
I don't want to do my taxes.
It's fine. It's literally fine.
It is literally fine, but importantly, you have to stress about it and not do it until the last minute every year. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, understandable. Although, never mind. Can we meet again?
Can we meet again? Of course. I was so spaced out by him that it took me a second to respond. Suo Kato closed his eyes and smiled. The wind didn't show any signs of dying down. After we'd parted ways, I continued down the riverside pondering this and that. Particularly, what was Suo Kato dissatisfied with? He had friends, his family situation was good, and it didn't seem like anything was getting in his way to a decent life. And yet...
Does it? He spends all of his time alone. His parents are never around. They delegate raising their son to a family friend, and his person he talks to the most is an invisible friend. Is he okay?
It's unclear.
How is my shawl?
Warm and comfy.
Nice.
I'm sorry I stole it. MAMIYA takes him to the so-called trichiliocosm. Trichiliocosm? I feel like we
still
decided.
haven't learned anything new about that other than just the name of it.
I recalled his final moments at that pale, fantastical sea. My chagrin and helplessness made me bite my lip. He had fun, he had happiness, yet he still seemed to be filled with a particular thirst, a longing of sorts. For what, though? Good morning, Natsume.
You have a lot of jackets, Suo.
Morning? What's that?
I'm also feeling called out that all of Kato's jackets are ones I would absolutely have worn in high school. They look really comfy.
I pointed at Suo Kato's chest, causing him to sound a bashful chuckle. The neighborhood children were having a fundraiser at the station, and I always make sure to chip in every time I pass by. There was a simple red feather brooch on his chest. I felt like it had been a while since I last saw one. But it might have been that I just hadn't been paying attention. Were they something you could only expect of good-natured citizens like him? I have many more of these back home.
And also a big stack of Livestrong bracelets.
It suits you well. Thanks. The red mark on his chest swayed. He suggested that we investigate the places Natsume used to frequent. It wasn't a big deal, we would just be walking around. We were now waiting for a train. The tall boy behind me waited patiently enough, yet his eyes were positively beaming. I could only hope that he would find at least a little joy today. As I looked at him, I noticed something red fall on the tracks. Ah! I heard a young girl yell out. The red thing I'd seen turned out to be a pouch.
Ah! That's my bag! Grandma, I need to go get it! Bye! Don't go down on the tracks! You'll get electrocuted, I think.
She moved toward the bag, but her grandmother stopped her. The little girl's eyes were filling up with tears, and soon enough the surrounding people began to notice the commotion. The train was only a few minutes away from arriving here. As I considered whether I'd make it if I went down and got the bag myself, I noticed that Suo Kato was no longer at my side. "Excuse me, a girl dropped her bag." He acted quickly. While we were focused on the girl, he found a station worker and told him about the situation.
Better than I thought. I thought he was going to just get down there himself. Tall boy that he is.
The worker quickly understood him. He took out a transceiver, and not long after there was an announcement.
There has been an accident. The trains will be stopped until further notice. That seems a bit...
I looked in the distance and saw the approaching train grind to a halt.
That feels like it was meant to sound more benign than it was.
The station worker used a long stick to give the girl's pouch back to her. "Here you go, don't lose it again now." The girl held the pouch close to her chest. It must have meant a lot to her.
Aw, gee, thanks, mister. That's my favorite pouch.
Suo Kato looked at the little girl with a warm smile.
Thank you, mister.
"I'm just glad it all worked out." The incident was settled and the trains resumed running.
Sorry. Like if someone said, "Oh, I feel like there's a difference in tenor between there has been an accident, the trains will not be running until further notice." Like there's a difference in tenor between that and hold on one second, everyone. Trains are going to be just a minute late as we grab something that fell onto the tracks.
It was a few minutes late, but at least no one was hurt.
Oh, come on! I'm going to be late now.
Someone made an audible sigh.
Hello, I'm sorry, but my train is late. It's like it fell on the tracks? Since when is that my fault?
Some quickly went on their phones.
Tap, 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 tap.
Others fidgeted restlessly while looking at their watches. Suo Kato looked around and realized that the act he'd believed in meant nothing to those around us.
I mean...
Oh.
Oh, it's all my fault. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. He placed his large hand on the girl, who was clearly on the verge of tears. His eyes, however, were somewhat lifeless. He seemed visibly uncomfortable. A moment later, he put the red feather that he was wearing so proudly into his pocket. His oddly awkward behavior made me want to speak up. I couldn't just sit by and watch. It's okay, it's okay. People treasure each and every second of their lives, huh? His voice lowered to a whisper. There were open seats, yet he was standing. Are the people waiting for them the same kind who would get angered by a 10-minute delay? He was smiling, but I could easily tell it was fake.
Yeah. I'm trying to, like, the concept of getting angry at a delay in public transport is very foreign to me now. But I definitely remember times when I was, at my last job, I was regularly using the bus or having to just fucking walk the hour or so to my place of employment every day. And getting caught on a delay downtown, meaning like a half hour or so difference between when I arrived at work, makes a huge difference when like you're trying to schedule like breaks and relief for other people on shift and what. And I totally get that. But I also feel like a 10-minute delay in getting on shift You have 10 extra minutes to sit there and read the book you're going through on your phone. What are you complaining about?
I was always more bothered when the bus was early than when it was late.
Yeah, like when the bus gets there early and then leaves early, that should never be allowed. If the bus gets to a stop early, it should be forced to wait until the proper time because I am not planning on being there until that exact time. It's bullshit. Ugh. Anyway, don't get angry at public service workers and public transportation. They are making the world go round.
Does it really not matter to them that a girl dropped her pouch? Everyone's in such a hurry. Yeah, there's no time limit on the stuff we have to do, though. We can take our time. Thank you, Natsume. Here you go. Sorry for the wait. Thank you. I love cream of corn soup.
Wow, so do I.
Do you?
Cream of corn?
Yeah.
Thick and creamy. Tastes like corn.
I didn't know that.
I don't generally go out of my way to eat it, but I don't turn up my nose when it's offered.
TIL. After some walking around, we took a break on a bench in the plaza. Suo Kato was holding a can in both hands and drinking from it with a broad smile. I was glad to see that he cheered up. With a lunch break currently underway, there were some office workers walking around. Hello, pretty cold weather, huh? Suo Kato suddenly addressed one of the workers who was drinking coffee on a nearby bench.
Huh? Oh, hello? Yes, it is quite cold. Are you students, by the way?
Yes, well, at least I am. He's not.
I see. Are you in a club?
I do lacrosse.
Lacrosse? Huh, I also did that in high school.
Really? What was your position? Though the office worker was perplexed at first, they quickly hit it off.
See, this is the part that screams to me absolute mad behavior. Approaching a random person on their lunch break and demanding their time to have a random conversation. Be like, bitch, these are my 15 minutes that I get to drink this cup of coffee in peace and quiet before I need to go back and get yelled at by customers. If you want anything else from me right now other than complete and total silence, I will not be able to deliver.
The man reminded me of a deer. He had roundish eyes, and you could see dimples every time he smiled. The two were enjoying their time. Until...
Hey, Pseudo, what are you doing here?
we heard a sudden yell. It came from a middle-aged man in a suit. The deer-like worker called Pseudo became all pale and stood up in a hurry.
Oh, sorry, manager. When you going to grow up? We ain't got time for this.
The man kept bowing his head while his superior continued chewing him out. The sudden event left us perplexed. We really weren't supposed to be seeing this. I looked away and tried not to stand out too much. Suo Kato, on the other hand, continued watching the man repeatedly bow his head. Once the superior had left to smoke, Pseudo let out a sigh. Suddenly, his eyes met Suo Kato's. The man gasped, then awkwardly looked away. His hands were balled into fists, and I could see his shoulders trembling. Suo Kato tried to stand up, but I stopped him. Let's go. He seemed reluctant to leave, but came with me regardless. When I turned around, I saw Pseudo go after his superior. That sure was a surprise.
Suo getting all of his hopes and expectations about adulthood dashed one by one. I wonder if Suo's got some of that kind of a different flavor of that same kind of anxiety I had for a while as I was growing into adulthood, where at a certain point you realize you stop being able to imagine what part of your future looks like. And it's just like, that point where you realize that, like, oh, the things I'm doing right now where I have very carefree days, where I get to come home, I have food made for me, and I have a home that I get to live in and don't have to worry about. Those days have an expiry date. And the more and more I learn about the world that waits beyond it, the more the less and less enamored I am with reaching that date.
You know what I find funny?
What? What's up?
I had those worries as a high school kid.
Yep.
But I was like 10 times more stressed out and depressed then than I was later as an adult.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, because it obviously you got to grow up at some point, right? And there's like obvious new doors get open to you as you get older. It's not exactly the way that your kid brain kind of can fear that it is, but I wonder if that's part of what Suo's going through. Especially given that he doesn't seem to have much in the way of adults in his life to like have these conversations with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can you imagine the first time Suo Kato has to file a tax return? Can you imagine or it seems like a person who is going to be crushed by every single cruel reality they learn about the adult world.
Suo Kato remained silent.
Sorry, I keep talking along. I know this is basically a Vivian monologue episode, so I'm trying to do my part here.
Why would he snap like that in a public space? Even I felt like I was being scolded. I smiled to help him relax, but it didn't seem to be doing much. Why didn't he argue back? Huh? That superior was clearly being unreasonable, so why didn't he stand up for himself?
Yep. Why this is clearly wrong and immoral. So how come it's allowed to happen? I am beginning to empathize more and more with Suo, actually. That was something I struggled with a lot at that age, being like, this is clearly wrong. Why are we all just continuing on like nothing just happened? Right? I've spent all the time I was growing up, I've been learning lessons about what's right and what's wrong in the world, and this is clear, like what's right and what's wrong and how we treat each other morally. And this is obviously horrible. So how come what I've been led to expect for my entire life and what it is actually like are two completely different things?
I mean, he looked so frustrated. Suo Kato kept his gaze fixed on a single point as he said that. I recalled the way the suited man was clenching his fist. Well, he was dealing with a superior. There was probably no real point in arguing there. I'm guessing he had to swallow his pride to make sure things didn't escalate further and ended as quickly as possible. He seemed to be thinking about something. Is it his job to be yelled at? Huh? When I look at adults, I see many of them get yelled at for reasons I don't really understand. Does their work require them to be angry or be the target of verbal abuse? Suo Kato smiled. I imagine there are people like that, yeah. It seems like hard work. Suo Kato sounded a chuckle, seemingly having returned to his usual self. Adults sure have it hard. He seems to have been trying to fool himself with comparisons. By the time we made it to the station, the sun had already set, with dark gray clouds drifting in the sky above. The smell of the coming rain tickled my nostrils.
Tickle, tickle.
Huh, I guess this'll work. I'm sorry, Natsume. I told you to relax, and now you're helping me.
Changing into yet another comfortable sweater.
I don't mind, really. It would have been too much for you to handle alone, anyway. A storm, huh? I guess that means public transport's a no-go? What? You mean you're not staying over? Huh? Can I? Of course, that's what I had in mind when I invited you in the first place. All right, then, I guess I'll stay. The stormy night reminded me of Suo Kato's sleepwalking. When I was talking to him just now, he seemed better than fine, but I'll keep an eye on him. I listened closely in the darkness as the heavy rain beat against the windows. Sean.
Sean! Sean! To answer the question that you'll inevitably ask, no, we won't.
How long had I been waiting now? I seemed to have fallen into a shallow slumber and woke up only when I heard the front door open. I could still make it. I hastily put on my coat and ran out into the stormy night. Suo! Suo Kato! Where are you? Suo! I shouted to outdo the storm. He couldn't have gone far, so... I saw a large silhouette that walked in an awkward manner. The person, Suo Kato, was turning a corner. Please wait. I had to get to him as soon as possible. I had to help him. As hard as I tried, my legs were losing the fight against the strong winds. Suo!
I think you'd have an advantage in this scenario, actually. Tall boys got more leverage to fall over. This is where the short kings rule, actually.
Clad in pajamas, he walked on ahead like he was the shepherd of this storm. He was right there. But I couldn't catch up to him. Suo! Suo Kato! I finally reached him. He was in a forest.
That looks like the cover of a type moon.
I was going to say the exact same thing. It's like this is a key visual for
From
a type
Tsukihime,
moon game,
right?
Yeah.
This is from the second half of the Tsukihime remake somehow.
Walking barefoot on the grass. He looked up at the sky as if trying to converse with the moonlight. Within the deep green of nature, everything felt so silent. You'd think we had stumbled into a separate dimension, cut off from the rest of the world.
Like a reality marble?
The way Suo Kato stood there made it look almost like he could be taken to the moon any second now. The relief of having found him, combined with a strange fear, made me cling to him. Let's go back home, Suo Kato. Come back with me. Within the depths of this endlessly green forest located far away from the city, the starry sky looked so beautiful it almost hurt.
Yada yada yada. The next morning.
Good morning, Natsume. Did you sleep well last night?
There's a lot of that tonally in these tip segments.
Wait, you don't look so good. Are you okay? Suo Kato. I embraced him as hard as I could. What's gotten into you? Did you have a bad dream? Suo Kato. It's okay, I'm here now. Suo Kato wasn't at fault. He was simply fed up with his boring, mundane life and escaped in search of something that could provide him with more stimulation. And that was all there was to this boy. Nothing more and nothing less.
Sometimes it's just that simple, I guess. Not everyone has to have this earth-shattering, depressing thing hiding in their backstory. And sometimes it's just he needs something more interesting in his life.
Why was he walking around in his sleep? The answer to that was simple. He was bored of his daily life.
Does that follow? Does it follow that you're bored of your daily life, therefore you will involuntarily begin to somnambulate?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that doesn't follow.
Have you ever sleepwalked?
I don't believe that I have.
I haven't.
I have had sleep paralysis.
Oh yeah, me too.
I don't experience it. I had like one very bad instance of it when I was very young, and then almost never. And I get like, I think the worst sleep thing I have now is like just I get hypnic jerks pretty frequently. But no, I've never sleepwalked.
slept, walked, did.
All right. How about you? No?
Nope.
Well then.
Hypnic jerks, not to be confused with hypnotic jerks. You are feeling very sleepy. Sleepy. Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't imagine it's the kind of thing you can either will into existence or that is connected to how satisfied or dissatisfied you are with your life. I'm open to being wrong with that if you've got a peer-reviewed counterexample here. I'm not going to pretend I'm the end-all, know-all on this subject, but my gut tells me that they're not related.
So what you're saying is, if you disagree with me, I'm open to a peer-reviewed study.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
In that case, I just had to give him the extraordinary. Doing that would certainly prevent his sleepwalking, which is definitely the issue at hand and not the part where he dies.
Sure.
All right?
Well, maybe in Natsume's mind, it's like sleepwalking equals danger, uncontrollable, and that leads to death. Maybe Natsume feels like the death is not inevitable. It's the sleepwalking that puts him in the dangerous situations.
Suo Kato woke up to a chill that tickled his nostrils. Was it the wind? But how was that possible? No one in their right mind would open the windows in winter.
Couldn't be me.
Having just woken up, his eyes had yet to grow accustomed to the dark. He looked around for the cause of this disturbance, and his eyes became fixed to the window. The laces and the pale curtains danced in the cold breeze. The window was open. Moonlight was shining through.
Come with me, Suo Kato, to Wonderland.
Suo Kato, I came to take you away.
No, don't actually.
It was a clear, crisp night with the stars shining bright in the sky. I thought you were a prince. This took a lot of effort. I had used the rooftop to go from the guest room to here. That definitely wasn't something a grown man should have done, though.
Yeah, no.
I wasn't exactly in good physical shape, so my sides were actually hurting pretty bad. And worst of all, if I had been spotted, I'd instantly have been seen as a shady guy. I really felt bad about it. Why had it come to this? Why did I do this?
Why? Why indeed?
I ask myself this often lately.
Talk about an own goal.
Still.
Come on, give us the full CG. Oh.
Those problems meant little when I was faced with Suo Kato's excited expression. I was actually planning to pick him up, jump out, and land perfectly on the ground. It would have been a good way to start an exciting night out. However, his large body and my physical limits made me reconsider. I had said that I came here to take him, but I ended up just being a guy who was here to hang out. Your flowing blonde hair looks out of this world, almost like it's absorbed the very moonlight. You really do remind me of a prince of some faraway country.
Here's a hint for our viewers under the age of 16, for all two of you. If you have a grown man at your window in the middle of the night suddenly wake up and try to get you to let him in, don't.
Especially if he says he's here to take you away. Believe him.
Yes.
Do not allow this.
Do not allow this to happen. That sounds bad.
I have all of these. It's
this
like,
is a free one for you.
There's been this undertone with all of these where it's like, okay, but like, is this appropriate? And this is the first one that's like, we can't not be like, okay, this is a little fucked.
Yeah. This is a little fucked. And I get some of it is like it's a story that Natsume is involving himself in, and because it's a story and because of Natsume's disposition, he has this tendency to kind of romanticize how these things should go. He is a romantic storyteller. He likes grand gestures and stuff like that. That is no secret. But that doesn't mean it's not. That doesn't mean it's a good idea.
There's also some reverse I'm 1000 going on where, like he mentioned, he is in fact a high schooler. He just happens to be inhabiting
the body of a 23-year-old man. Yeah. The reverse I'm 1000.
But also, hey kids, if an adult tells you this in real life when they are at your window trying to get you to climb out it,
don't believe them.
Don't believe them. That's not actually a good reason.
That's not a thing that
life.
happens. Actually, you shouldn't listen to them when they say that. In fact, you should keep that window closed and go find a trusted adult in your home. Thank you. I feel like we did our public service for the day.
Yeah, feeling good. Suo Kato repeated himself, still not fully awake. Yeah. I patted his back and nodded. But you're no real prince. You were charmed by a devil you met at a lake. Mm-hmm. And now, you can't unleash your full power unless you drink human blood.
I can't tell... Kid, has anyone introduced you to manga? Just...
What?
Have you read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure yet?
What's fiction?
Suo Kato's route solved by just giving him a library card.
Wait, you're telling me folks can just make up awesome stories and I can experience them at will? That's legal? Dope. But that's a vampire thing. Well, you look like you could both be a prince and a vampire. I mean, there can be princes like that, too.
Vampire princes? Perish the thought.
Suo Kato made a warm smile.
Imagine making the narrative leap to have vampires in your work of fiction, and then again on top of that, requiring us to believe that they then also are royalty?
I feel like you're making a sarcastic reference to a specific piece of media.
It's not to a specific piece of media. It's just about how it's a common.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I felt like you were referencing a specific thing, and I was furiously scrolling through my memories, being like, what are you talking about?
Actually, it would be stranger if vampires weren't royalty in fiction, considering that they are very long-lived and therefore able to establish, or able to calcify power structures around them better than short-lived humans are.
But also, I'm imagining an old as dirt vampire who just sucks at manipulating people. So, not royalty, just like struggling to get by on year number 457 of Social Security payments.
That's Dave. He's an outlier and should not be counted.
He looked at me like I was something rare and valuable, and it frankly made me feel a little embarrassed. Well, if you say so. Why did you come for me? I guess I wanted to feed on you tonight.
What if that's part of being a spectator? You feed on their stories?
A prince that attacks his people. Was I a despot or something? Haha. That's not it. You can't attack your own subjects.
Watch me.
So you feed on people from other countries.
You're assuming it wouldn't be an autocracy.
That seems like a diplomatic nightmare. I'm glad you're well at any rate. I patted his head, making him squint as if it was tickling him. Do you prefer lively sacrifices? Oh, yes, I need the blood of lively people to regain all my energy.
Fast forward about 30 minutes, we get the CG of Natsume standing in the remnants of what Suo Kato's been doing, and I'm like, what did I do to cause this? All this blood! All these lively people dead!
Are you tired?
Formerly lively people, I'm sorry.
Come to think, that's why. This entire time I'd been feeling there was a Type Moon vibe about Suo Kato, and it was a combination of the hair
Yep.
but also the sleepwalking arc and he doesn't know that he's been out and about and doing stuff out on the town.
Are we about to spoil a Type Moon thing and maybe we shouldn't?
I'm not going to go any farther from there, but
Okay.
anyway, so there's an amalgamation of at least 3 different things related to Type Moon stuff, and that's why it was there.
Next he'll say that he just can see the mystic lines of death perception. Or no, he has the mystic eyes of death perception. Damn it, I remember what that is. That's not a spoiler, it's the setup for that game. You're what?
Good old mystic eyes of depth perception.
That's what I've got. That's why I don't need glasses. Absolutely does need glasses.
You basically don't. I put yours on. They don't do anything.
They make it so I can read the text on the screen.
Hmm.
I look over it and I just see like blurry shit.
I heaved a sigh. Can't you make any human friends? No, even if I did get along with people, I'd just start thirsting for their blood when night came.
And thus, seasons 1 through 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer saved you a watch.
Wait, this is Type Moon also.
This is also Type Moon. Yes, Type Moon has vampires.
I was playing along. It was just a silly little act. But the more our exchange continued, the more I felt like an actual vampire. Mine, too? I'm a friend, right? Do you want my blood? Want some blood? Blood.
No,
blood.
No. Yeah, okay. Starts chanting like fucking power.
His deep blue eyes made me gulp. Quite loudly, in fact. Yeah? My fangs were twitching. Your blood. I want your... I snapped out of it before I could finish.
Oh my god. Suo Kato has a reality distortion field.
What was I even saying? I was a spectator, not a vampire. I didn't need Suo Kato's. Go ahead, my prince. If my blood makes you feel better, then... I gasped. He was completely serious. Here. A pang of guilt washed over me as I watched him expose his bare neck. It was a part of him I wouldn't have seen otherwise, since he always wears those high-neck sweaters.
Right? This is where you feel guilty? Now?
I don't have fangs. You don't? I see. You resisted the devil and kept your fangs human. He seems to have come to his own conclusion. In that case... Suo Kato stood up and reached for the studying desk. He held a cutter tight. Suo! I'll give you blood directly.
Natsume, was there anything I could have done to prevent this, Natsume?
An excited gaze.
Wait, that joke doesn't work formatted that way because he does actually have a last and first name. Souichirou, what could I have done to prevent this, Natsume? There we go.
He was dead serious about this. He would cut his palm and give me his blood. Wait.
Why does he keep just a box cutter in his... Never mind.
As a mark of our friendship in both day and night. This was no longer mere play acting.
It never was! Dude is sleepwalking! You think he's fully in control of what he's saying and doing right now?
Suo Kato had fallen asleep. He slept so soundly you wouldn't think anything at all even happened tonight. I, however, was completely drained. The taste of iron in my mouth gave me a headache. To think I actually drank his blood.
What the
So...
Alright, so, Natsume...
There's some things...
Go ahead.
There's some things to learn about bloodborne illness. Generally, do not do this with random people.
Yes. That's a very smart thing to not do, is actually drink other people's blood. I'm not going to add a caveat to that. It's just a smart thing to not do in general. Man, could you imagine vampire fiction where they actually did have to worry about bloodborne illnesses?
but we're also still all immortal and shit.
So if you got it once, it was with you for life.
Yeah, so vampires like all eventually would pick up HIV and stuff, but it wouldn't kill them. It would just make their lives terrible, but they'd still keep on going.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Dang, that sounds like the fucking worst. And of course it would be set in 1980s New York.
Yes, absolutely it would. Oh, no.
Someone write this. I want to read it and feel awful.
No, why? Hold on, let's get Anne Rice on the horn. Trying to think of a vampire author off the top of my head.
Wait, what was my blood type again?
Great. Better Nate than Lever, I guess.
Why would that matter if you drank it?
He's thinking about, wait, hold on, what about the blood fluids? Less specifically that blood type matters, and more like he's finally second-guessing himself.
Okay. That's not the problem here. It doesn't matter what the blood type is. It's that it's not yours. I knew my blood type from when I was still alive, but the same couldn't be said about my current body.
If you, against all medical advice, would like a vial of my own blood, you can get that on my OnlyFans.
Oh, God.
Too far? The tapioca pearl eating sounds were fine, but the vial of blood is too far? Okay. I'm learning where the line is here.
There's something about that. I think it's because I'm not great with needles. Although, I'm not great with needles.
No, that's fair. I'm not great with needles either, but I can compartmentalize. And as trans people, we get a lot of blood work done. Always checking
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, but like I can compartmentalize it enough to like this sucks, but it's one of those things that has to happen. So I just kind of like dissociate while it's happening and like, or think about something else until it's over. Incidentally, I've gotten way more piercings than usual lately.
I used to do good with blood draws because despite hating needles, I used to have them done every single month for a while.
Yep.
And you get used to it.
Yeah.
But then like 3 or 4 times ago, I was having a rough day and started passing out. And like it did the thing where my vision narrowed down into a tunnel and I slumped down the chair and they made me lay down. And then from that time onward, they're like, no, you have to go and sit in the special chair and we'll lean you back. And then we'll give you the apple juice afterward like a child and you have to sit there.
Congratulations. You're the reason why we all wait 15 minutes after having our blood drawn.
I am. And it's been fine every single time after that one. I have
Don't complain. Just take the free cookies and apple juice. It's free cookies and apple juice. What are you... You kidding me? If someone gave me a sealed, unopened little thing of apple juice after I was done at the last time I visited the doctor, I'd be like, thanks. This is cool, actually. Apple juice is fine.
They should just always give you a nice cold little thing of apple juice at the doctor's. I would go.
And then when you get to the right age, you get just a cool cider instead. You did great. Here's your cancer juice.
Finishing up with the physical, and they just pass you a tall, frosty beer out of the fridge.
Hey, great job in there today, Slugger.
Great job continuing to have a body.
It was touch and go for a while there, but we pulled it out in the end. Anyway, that's all to say, don't drink other people's blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Listen, there was... I know we like to provide intelligent live commentary, but there was a point... There was an inflection point in this one where it just became less like, okay, and more just... It became more just, none of this is a good idea, and I'm not...
If my blood was incompatible with Suo Kato's, I might die.
That's not the reason you would die.
That's not how this works, Natsume.
That's not the reason you might die from that.
I felt all the blood rush from my head.
Well, that's good. That means that you don't have any more blood in your head that could potentially get,
I threw another glance at the young man, still sleeping in peace. The fact that he was presenting his cut like a medal made me smile for some reason.
And now he's going to see it when he wakes up and he's not going to know what happened.
The mark of our friendship in both day and night.
I think this is the first time I'm fully not on board with Natsume.
What, stabbing himself in the stomach didn't get you there?
So here's the thing. I thought that was overly dramatic and maybe not helpful. He was the only one injured by that. That was exclusively his own those were his own consequences to deal with. Right?
Got it. So it's fine to stab yourself in the stomach with a knife in public.
If you're not making it anyone else's problem.
I think it is everyone else's problem. I think.
Okay, fine. You're right. Maybe this shouldn't have been the point where.
Oh, well.
Rip Natsume.
Feeling awful about the whole ordeal, I lay down next to him and hoped I wouldn't turn to ash once morning came. I was woken up by sunlight. As it turned out, I lived to see the morning.
Hey.
I didn't feel strange or anything. My stirring had woken up the boy next to me. Good morning, Suoketo. Good morning, Natsume. Suoketo's blood suited my body surprisingly well. Statements uttered by the completely deranged.
What the fuck is happening?
Ever since that day, he and I spent our nights together. A dream journal? Wanna have a look inside? Huh? Sure. I don't mind if you read it, but only because it's you. Really? Yes, I'm giving you special permission. He gave me a wink. I excitedly took the college notebook in hand when I felt something shake me to my very core. What just happened and why?
Huh. You have the headphones in. Was there an audio cue that I missed?
Yeah, there was one of the... It does that dramatic audio cue sometimes for
Okay,
certain
yeah.
events.
Yep, okay. Again, fresh piercings.
I couldn't understand it. This was just a simple-looking college notebook.
Is Suo Kato somehow an author of stories that can be spectated?
Suo Kato watched over me, slightly bashful. Why? Why was I so... This was... Dreams, dreams, dreams. Death, death, death. They were akin to each other. Various images went through my head, mixing and intertwining. I didn't know why, but I felt like I couldn't open it. Natsume? I was sweating like crazy. With shaking hands, I placed the journal back on the desk.
What if Suo Kato is dreaming about Natsume, reading about Suo Kato, writing about Natsume, reading about...
Was it because I was a spectator? Was I afraid of seeing the story? Nesting structure, fractals, a kaleidoscope world, which seemed to pull me in.
Oh.
Developing a fear of books because you're inside a book.
Oh, is that it? I felt like, because it's not, it didn't sound like it was just a phobia. It sounded like there was like a physical element to it, like this physical repulsion. Kind of like, oh no, if you let this happen, like things are going to start looping and on a structural level, and that's not going to be okay for anyone.
Natsume. The pain whirling in my stomach made me moan and roll around.
Maybe that's why Natsume can't read fiction.
Suo Kato seemed surprised at first, but then quickly ran up to me and gently rubbed my back. It's okay, relax. Ugh. No creatures of the night will come in here. I'll protect you. Really? My voice was shaking. Yes. Suo Kato rubbed my back like a gentle father. Even so, I felt as though I could sense death through the place he was touching.
Oh my.
It's okay, I'll be alright. Thank you, Suo Kato. Seeing his gentle smile, I felt like I had my very life in the grasp of this large child. Natsume, you're a Christian? His question made me stop in the middle of undressing my shirt. I understood what he was getting at once I'd noticed him staring at the cross necklace hanging around my neck. Yeah, I'm not a very zealous believer, though. Do you sing hymns? No, as much as it pains me to admit, I've completely forgotten all the ones I knew. But you still wear the necklace. Suoketo narrowed his eyes. You always hide it under your clothes, so I was just a bit surprised is all.
It's a very odd detail for a supposedly default 23-year-old NPC.
Really? I took the cross in hand and looked at it. Take it off. Huh? Take off the necklace.
What the hell is this energy, man?
It felt like he wouldn't take no for an answer, so I did as told. Once I gave him the necklace, he opened the window and threw it out.
What is your energy today?
Everyone's energy in this arc is so fucked.
This is...
What is up with these people?
What is... I thought I thought I could get a handle on maybe one of them at a time, but this is just odd.
Ugh. I couldn't stop him. It didn't really suit you. Suoketo had complete control over me.
Oh, good.
Even so, I did my best to save him from his sleepwalking. Can I sleep with you? You're like a little child.
So we're back to the strange dynamic
Yeah.
he had with Rio in...
He laughed at me, but I didn't back down. You mean in my room? That question made me remember the dream journal. No, the guest room I'm staying in. How awfully selfish. If you can't sleep, I'll just make you some warm milk. Okay? And just like that, he coaxed me into giving up. Suoketo didn't come into my room, and I ended up sleeping alone.
He shouldn't! You are clearly not operating under your right mind right now, Natsume.
I just want to help you. I fell asleep before I knew it. Ugh. I woke up. My throat was dry, so I went to drink some water. As I did that, I ran into Suoketo in the hallway. There was no light in his eyes. It made him look like a ghost. Wait. Which one of us was the ghost here? I, who was already dead, or Suoketo, who was walking around on his feet, bare and pale? Which one of us was closer to death? Him or me? Natsume, are you okay? Huh? You're looking kinda sleepy these days. Is the pillow not good for you?
This whole... How quickly it's escalated to, yeah, you're just sleeping here now. This is where you sleep now.
Suoketo just fucking is a reality warper and doesn't know it, and
yeah, and just honestly, that's kind of leading my theories right now.
Suoketo, you're the one who doesn't get any sleep. That's not true. I sleep well every night. You need to have a balanced sleep schedule. That goes for me too. If you're feeling sleep deprived, you could always just lie down in bed and get some more rest. Suoketo, should I have slept with you last night? I'm just worried about you. Why? There's nothing about me to worry about. No, there is. There isn't. You need to calm down and let me take care of this. He was clearly denying my words. He obviously didn't want me to speak of it. Why don't you understand?
Because you've done nothing but enable him.
Suoketo. Let's go buy a new pillow.
Manic face. Let's go buy a new pillow.
Huh? Since you can't sleep well, we need to get you a pillow that suits you perfectly. How did that conversation lead to this? I might even find a new pillow for myself. Come on, let's go find some. Going outside with Suo Kato for the first time in a while was a refreshing experience.
Going outside?
For the first time in a while, oh no.
What the fuck? Have you forgotten, like, what you...
He was like a young child trapped in a large body. His behavior nearly made me doubt all the strange things that had been happening recently. Maybe I really did have a bad pillow.
What if Suo Kato's the main character? And by the main character, I mean he is somehow the cause of this.
Maybe.
And in his desire to, and in his reality warping desire to have a story all about him, he has created this other narrative structure that involves. I don't actually believe that one, but I want to toss it out there because it fits just enough.
It is interesting, though, that there's a lot of ways in which Suo is the odd one out.
Yeah, like he just doesn't fit cleanly into the pattern that the other three do. Despite always being presented as the fourth in that pattern, he never seems to quite fit in the same way.
Maybe I really did have a bad pillow. Natsume, there's a corner with pillows from all over the world. Let's see what it's about.
Suo Kato, where does your money come from?
The money tree.
So, we actually had a plant called a money tree in our house.
Really?
Yeah.
Why was it called that?
I don't know why it was called that. I don't know if that was just... I got the impression from that was just a name for that particular kind of tree.
What denomination did it come in?
It didn't have actual money on it. It was just a cute little plant. You don't seem to be buying this. All right.
I'm inventing the $20 tree.
All right. Good for you.
Once we were done shopping, we walked straight back home.
With whose money?
The light of the setting sun caressed my cheeks. Ahead on the road, I heard a child talk to his mother.
Mommy, what's for dinner tonight?
Grilled and salted mackerel pie, sweetie.
Oh, but I eat fish.
No, you should be picky.
What should we have for dinner? Honestly, I'm fine with whatever you'll make me. How about you make something today?
No.
Huh? But I'm not a very good cook. Our shadows stretched out behind us. As I glanced at Suo's profile, the evening sun shone into my eyes for a moment, making them water. What a fun day that was. Wasn't this just fine? Wouldn't it be best if these days could just continue on forever? And yet, for some reason, Suo Kato was... I just felt a droplet. Oh, what? It might rain soon.
Oh, what? A droplet, Natsume. Are you unfamiliar with the concept?
Huh? His voice came from slightly higher than me, and I initially wasn't sure what to make of it.
Becoming a literal child? Suo Kato is somehow a reality warper. No, I'm now hammering on this.
There's also this weird empathic connection with Storms and Suo Kato.
Yep.
There's also
he's the one that's writing his narratives down.
And he's the only one that has a weird, everybody else has problems in their lives. He's the only one that goes to this degree of weird, of confusing dreams and reality and sleepwalking all the time and killed someone.
He's also the one that seems to live in a sitcom.
The parents are never there.
Parents are never around, and yet he has an apartment all to himself.
He's also the only one that has a connection with the other four.
What do you mean?
The other four from the other
right.
story.
Oh,
he's the only one with a direct
group.
connection to that.
He's
group.
the only one that has a direct connection to the Pink House group. You're absolutely right. He's the only one for whom MAMIYA is not a physical entity that has some kind of presence. What the fuck is your deal, you tall, sad boy?
He's also the only one who his story doesn't have any choices in it this time.
Yeah, according to the guide. Yep. I like the guide said just don't worry about it, and I'm like, okay.
I'm worried about it.
And his is always the 4th out of 4 whenever presented with them in a row. And yet, what is your deal, Suo Kato? I genuinely need to think more on this because I feel like I kind of just written him off at first, and I feel like I need to consider more what he's actually bringing to this story.
Whoa. There was still some blue in the sky, but the downpour was already upon us. Suo, I say we run. Agreed. We used our shopping bags as makeshift umbrellas and ran through the stormy weather.
No, but then you'll just get all your food wet. Oh, sun showers. Those are nice.
Wow, Suo, how did you know? Well, for some reason, I can kind of just tell when it's about to rain.
I just say, it feels like it's going to rain, and then a couple seconds later, it starts raining. Funny
Tut-tut,
how that
looks like
happens.
rain.
That's how that happens.
I'm not sure why, but I'm always the first one to see it coming. That sounds almost like a superpower. We'd spent enough time running in the rain to make the contents of our bags completely soaked. Eventually, the rain stopped bothering us and we just looked at each other like wet dogs and laughed. I really like the rain. The golden rain, lit up by the evening sun, made both of us wet to our bones. My heart ached as I felt both the chill of the rain and the gentle warmth of the light.
Natsume is Suo's childhood friend who kind of grew away from him as he got older, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if Suo is writing or composing these in his dream journal, or is dreaming these things and then writing them down, about how it might happen if Natsume figure came back into his life, and beginning to aggrandize kind of what he is, what he can do, how things would change for him.
Trying to rewrite a good ending for Natsume rather than the early and tragic one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
Or maybe not even rewriting the ending because he thought it was tragic, but just because rewriting his own story so that Natsume gets to be in it again. Maybe it's about how he... And then Natsume becomes this figure who's out to set out to help everyone around him because he's just like that. All except for Suo Kato, who doesn't have any problems, so they just get to hang out. I feel like there's something here. I feel like we're on the cusp of a bait and switch with the blue-haired boy.
I hoped it would wash away this lingering pain and make me forget the sacrifices I'd made on my path to becoming stronger.
What? What? Am I missing context?
I don't know. You were at your most beautiful. Natsume, look how shiny it is. Wow, this is so much fun. When you were laughing within that golden brilliance. Yeah. I understood what he had meant without the need for elaboration. Where souls truly belonged. We were all attracted to beauty for reasons we couldn't quite explain. The fear I'd felt in the dark of night. The peace I'd felt while sleeping. It was all because you were beautiful, no matter what happens to you. Nothing could change the fact that you, Suo Kato, were a wonderful being. Hey, Natsume. What? I actually bought something else. He handed me a new necklace. I heard it helps you sleep.
A new necklace, huh?
And I think it would suit you well. Thank you, Suo. Bend forward a little. Yeah, I knew it would suit you. Suo Kato smiled like a loving mother. He was so gentle. And my heart ached when I looked at him. But that only strengthened my resolve. I was overcome by a suppressing blankness. Wild emotions rushed the sense of death within me. Things I held dear, along with anxiety, emptiness, grandness, yearning, and a longing for death. They were tearing my mind to pieces. However, my yearning for Suo Kato wasn't enough to stop my march. So there's a lot of shit coming up here that we don't know about.
That's just being thrown at us without context. I'm still hung up on, like, the necklace is probably a collar, right?
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Oh. Yeah, I was just thinking about, like, based on all the dog imagery earlier and how Suo has this propensity for really making very clear his, if not ownership, then control over the other people in his immediate orbit. You know what I mean?
The thing I was remembering,
but
in the first round of each person's individual stories,
yep.
Which one was the one that had that weird thing where it blinked out and then cut to someone else interrogating them about MAMIYA, and then cut back to regular reality?
Was that Kato's?
I can't remember. Was it?
I do not recall. It's been a little bit. Maybe someone in the comments will remind us without, spoiling anything else. But, this is stuff we've already read before. Not even changing his pillow could stop his sleepwalking.
I paid a visit to his room.
And Natsume seems really blasé about just no longer about giving up on all the spectator stuff and just living next to Suo Kato.
Yeah. Just how long had I been watching over him? I felt like I'd been here a whole day now. Pieces of the dream journal lay scattered on the bed. Was I breathing well? Why was I even here? I didn't understand anything at all. A while later, Suo Kato slipped back into his sheets like a bird that had its wings clipped. I stood next to him and picked up his feather. A clear, beautiful feather, as blue as the sky. Stop. Please don't touch me. Natsume, if there's something you want to say, don't just stand there. We need to have a proper conversation about your sleepwalking. His expression was one of utter disappointment. It was the bored look you'd give something completely devoid of worth. You too? Are you also planning to bore me with talk about how I should abandon my fantasies and face reality? I'm so disappointed in you. I thought you were different. I thought that despite being an adult, you were also a prince in the kingdom of the night. He stuck out his palm to me. My fangs didn't ache. Fantasies are certainly an important part of life, but if you take them too far, they'll only lead to your own downfall. We get the title drop for this arc in the bit about Suo.
And his fantasies and...
Something is up.
Something is up. Something is done be up with you, buddy.
And I simply can't allow that to happen. What value is there in things that don't stray from the norm?
I mean, as a wise philosopher once said, everybody got to deviate from the norm. No one then clarified which norm they were talking about, but I'm assuming
probably Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Are you also just another person? It's always been like this. I've always waited for something to appear, for someone to show up, something that would completely change my outlook on life and let me become a new me. And yes, I know that expectations are the worst kind of poison. Sorry for saying something so weird, but I will keep on waiting, no matter what anyone tells me, no matter what I hear from those who had given up. I would take the poison and keep on hoping. Hoping for more out of this world. Ah, Samejima.
Have you been well, Kato? Then again, I did see you just a couple of days ago. How is that human you are keeping in your home?
The two ate sweetened buns and seemed to be talking about something.
Where are you in this conversation?
I felt like it had been a long time since I'd seen Suo Kato smile like that. This time it wasn't directed at me, though. Samejima rubbed Suo Kato's head. He stopped, seemingly satisfied, after the boy squinted like someone being tickled. Hey, stop treating me like a child.
That wasn't my intention. You are important to me, and I got a little jealous.
Samejima, do you work at a place where people get angry at you?
Well, I'm a policeman. That's a new piece of info. And now that you mention it, there are indeed situations where I get yelled at.
Interesting. Samejima is a policeman.
Did we learn that? I felt like he just kind of... We did learn some of the jobs of the people in the pink house, but maybe we did learn that, and I've already forgotten it.
I don't think we learned
but
that.
I feel like Samejima did not bring that up.
That's interesting. He's a policeman. Natsume's a detective.
All right. Or supposedly is a detective.
Anyway.
I'm glad we saved this one for last out of these routes, because this is also the one that's throwing me for the biggest fucking loop.
Yeah, this is really weird. Why do such jobs exist?
That's a very good question. Once you become a member of society, you will receive undeserved verbal abuse. Those with sensitive, childlike hearts will get hurt, sometimes to the point of never recovering, which is why they choose to bury their own emotions.
Suo Kato fell silent.
It is to protect themselves. You can't be hurt if you feel nothing. And that's what it means to become an adult.
Does that apply to you too? Did you also bury your feelings? The wire-like man said nothing.
God. Oh?
Hello?
Bury your feelings. God, for the longest time I really believed that. You know, that part of being adult was really being able to successfully just make yourself able to push all that aside and do exactly what was asked of you. And I worked so hard to do that. And it fucking sucks.
And then you realized that it was clinical depression and not, in fact, adulthood?
I mean, little column A, little column B.
This seemed like a blunder to me. Although I'd seen Samejima in the other story many times now, this was actually the first time we'd met. I'm a friend of Suo's. My name is Natsume.
I see.
His brief, simple response made me realize just how thick the wall was between us. He gave me an icy, observing gaze that sent a cold sweat down my spine.
As you should if you are the apparent caretaker of a 15-year-old boy who is hanging out with a 23-year-old man, apparently. If you don't mind me asking, what do you work as?
Detective.
And how did you come to know him?
He's an acquaintance of an acquaintance.
Few people are less trustworthy than ones you come to know through people you know.
Samejima smiled. It made my stomach hurt. I think I understand Suo in my own way, as an adult.
I see.
He didn't seem impressed and appeared to imply that I would never be up to the task. Frankly, his attitude upset me. I did, after all, have my pride as Suo Kato's friend. How about you, then?
Pardon me?
What do you think you can do for Suo Kato? As an adult, I mean.
I can protect him from the dangers of society.
His prompt response left me speechless.
I am, as you've no doubt noticed, an adult.
I didn't know what to say. Having lost interest in me, Samejima went to Suo Kato and said something I couldn't quite catch. I was at a loss for words. Our exchange made me realize that I was only a 17-year-old in an adult's body. He, however, was a true adult. He was doing his best to talk to Suo Kato while having an objective grasp of his position. This made me feel like I was completely defeated. Sorry for the wait, Natsume. It's okay. Are you done? Yes. Samejima is quite the worrywart. I tell him it's all fine, but he never listens. I see. Of course he'd be worried. He was protecting you. Natsume? I should have protected you too. From what? Come on, there's no need to protect me at all.
There's no need to protect me at all. So if I do start to fantasize about my friend Natsume, I do also have to invent people for him to protect.
He pounded his chest and flashed a bright smile, making my heart ache.
My only gripe with this is like how the pink house fits into all this then.
Yeah. You were being protected even now. By your father, your mother, the school, the teachers, Samejima, the district. Everyone hoped that your future would be one of health and happiness. That was a role adults had that you weren't aware of. You're fine the way you are. Natsume, you're fine the way you are. I raised my face and saw Suo Kato smiling at me. The faintly pleasant smell of someone's dinner wafted through the evening neighborhood. This was a gentle space, and it felt like everything could be forgiven here. So, please stay with me, always and forever.
Always and forever.
Oh, how cruel. Suo was such a cruel boy. I made a weak smile. He might have been right. Perhaps it'd be best if I simply gave him the exciting, stimulus-rich life he so craved. That would be enough. I was entirely too powerless to protect him, or even change his perception of things. The idea of leaving some sort of mark on him was pure hubris. He led the way back home, and I silently followed. Our shadows had grown long in the evening sun. If I had to describe it all in one word, it'd be resignation. The days continued to pass by just as they had. Suo Kato continued being the pure, cruel, and innocent child that he had always been. He didn't even sleepwalk so long as I didn't say anything unnecessary. This was the way to go all along. Our peaceful days could be maintained so long as I listened to what he had to say. I couldn't do anything about his tendency to fantasize, nor his aversion to adults. The end of December was drawing near. We walked under a sky so cold it could freeze the heart. It was a dark night, illuminated only by the lights of the city. Passers-by around us smiled warmly and with eager anticipation for Christmas Eve. Suo Kato exhaled pale, white breaths. He seemed to be in high spirits. I trailed after him in silence. I was tired, if only a little bit. After some walking, I suddenly heard some singing from the distance. What's that about? We went toward the source and found a choir in the plaza. Wow!
A choir in the plaza!
Children clad in white were singing to the best of their ability, their faces red from the surrounding cold. I felt my heart uplifted by the beautiful Christmas carols they sang.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer. I panicked. I couldn't think of an edgy Christmas carol.
According to the nearby sign, they were orphans raising money for their orphanage. Suo Kato listened to their performance with a loving look in his eyes, then left them a donation. After that, we backed away a little bit and continued listening to them from a distance. Their songs brought a smile to my face and provided me with a brief sense of comfort. Suo Kato, on the other hand, seemed to be thinking about something else. It's a miracle. It really is like I'm witnessing a miracle. He exhaled an affectionate sigh. Momentarily distracted by the performance, the people around us briefly stopped before continuing on their way.
Look, a choir. Okay, but I'm hungry. Really? Alright, let's hurry on home then. Can't have you being hungry.
It was quite late into the night now.
Oh, wow. Another orphanage choir.
They must be so cold. We'll have to pitch in.
Oh, well, fine. I guess I do have some change to spare.
Now that's funny. Oh, crap. My show's about to start.
It's so pretty. Suo Kato must have heard them too. Even so, he did all he could to focus his attention on the singing children. It was not a silent night. A song ended and we gave them our most sincere applause. The children looked at the conductor before moving on to the next piece. The song in question was called Silent Night, which I found all too appropriate for the occasion. I watched Suo Kato completely immerse himself in their performance. At first, he looked like a senior angel looking over inexperienced apprentices. However, that impression I had of him gradually changed. When the second song ended, I threw another glance at him before the choir moved on to the third. Suo Kato now looked like a powerless shepherd waiting for the angels to come pick him up. It made me think of the ultimate truth reached by the have-nots. Suo Kato? I couldn't help but address him. But he didn't even look my way. His attention was glued to the children and their choir. Yet his side profile made me certain that I was gazing at something profoundly sacred. Who will protect these children? Who could do that? Suo? As Suo Kato finally turned to face me, he made an angelic smile. There was a certain gleam in his eyes that seemed quite unlike him. Can we listen until they're done? I want to stay here for as long as I can. Sure, no problem. The singing continued. Time passed by in peaceful silence. Cold stars rained down. Oh, the world was filled with cruelty and helplessness. So where was their promised land, their heaven to grant them peace? I had a wonderful time today. Thank you so much. If anything, I should be thanking you. In any case, good night. Good night.
The year in which the world is prophesied to end. The year in which Suo Kato IRL must become an adult?
I don't know.
I'm still on this.
If I don't become an adult, no one will protect those children. I can't just stay a child forever. One day, I'll become an adult capable enough to protect them.
Man, that is a real type moon. It's a type moon motivation right there.
That night, it snowed. My shoes, which weren't quite made for winter, squeaked audibly every time I stepped on the white snow. Wow, look, everything's so white. There's so much snow. Whoa! Are you okay? I lost my balance, but Suo Kato grabbed my hand just in time to prevent me from falling over. Oh, thanks. It's okay, just watch your step next time. I pursed my lips when I realized that pretty much no one would suspect me to be the older one here. In all the other possibilities I spectated, Suo had always seemed like a child. But now that I'd gotten to know him a bit more directly, he actually gave me the impression of a fairly dependable individual. At first we merely enjoyed this winter wonderland, but then he suddenly scooped up some snow from under his feet. Could I take this back home? I don't know, it'd probably melt by tomorrow. I guess you're right. It becomes all watery when I touch it.
Just keeping your snow terrarium year round. Your climate-controlled, sealed box of snow.
He showed his wet, pinkish hands and gave me a mischievous smile, making me grin as well. Oh man, snow just disappears, huh? You can't keep it around forever. Yet it's still so pretty, fluffy, and exciting. Those words felt like an expression of his inner world. He wanted to forever cherish things that glistened like snow. He wanted for the extraordinary to last forever, and yearned for what lay beyond it. Suo Kato? It's so cold. I'm sorry for blurting out something that silly. I know it's impossible. The snow continued to fall. The extraordinary continued to paint the city of Tokyo in its hue. To him, it was a gentle joy, as well as a cruelty. Natsume? What's wrong? Are you cold? Should we go back? No, that's not it. I just, The tall boy looked straight at me, waiting for my response. It was okay. He didn't have to wait. He could just abandon me. I wanted him to keep on running freely to his heart's content. Let's go, Suo. Natsume. Yes? Take my hand. What? Oh, but take those gloves off first. After waiting for me to take the gloves off, he extended his hands to me. I want us to hold hands.
I understand that, but also it is very cold. I will get frostbite.
Come on, just do it. Like this. I grabbed his extended hands. It sent a brief chill through me. I guess they're pretty cold, huh? Sorry about that. Your hands are so large. I get that a lot. The snow continued to pile up, almost like it was trying to bury us alive. I somehow felt like I had to do this to you. I mean, you looked like an abandoned puppy just now. What? I couldn't just leave you be. Come on, if there's anyone resembling a dog here, it's you. That's right, a dog. You're like a puppy. Ugh.
It's not the first time he's compared someone around close to him to a puppy.
Pouting, I briefly averted my gaze. I found it embarrassing to look into his eyes. It wasn't just because he compared me to a puppy. His eyes were brimming with loving compassion, and I felt like he'd seen right through me. I was now convinced, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that he was someone dear to me. I felt as though I'd met him a long, long time ago. I had absolutely no idea why I felt like that, though. Hey, let's take some snow back home. But that's impossible. It'll work out. I'll think of something. I don't want to see you give up. There's no need to force yourself to understand something or make compromises. You don't have to become an adult. Someone with your pure heart and sense of righteousness has no need to grow up.
Off to Neverland.
It felt as though time itself had come to a halt.
Wow, this is...
And the sheet of snowflakes protected us like the starry sky. I just don't know what it means to become an adult. Adults are gray and boring, locked between towering walls of concrete. And that makes them wither and lose all playfulness they might have had. I mean, I've never become an adult before. I feel like doing so would mean I'd stop being myself, and that scares me. It's okay. You can stay the way you are. Even as you grow older, never be afraid of liking what you like, no matter what anyone tells you. Hold your head high and be proud to say you like the things you do. I feel like that would help me as well. Really? Yeah. Your very existence can be a shining light to others. That's how I feel anyway. Thank you, Natsume. Your words made me really happy. The snow was reflecting the moonlight. It was late at night, but the surroundings were well lit. And within that light, Suo Kato made a smile so dazzling it nearly brought me to tears.
Unlike everyone else, the solution to your problems stay exactly the same. Everyone else should have to change.
We went on to search for a vending machine. We bought the cheapest bottle of water available and promptly downed its contents. We then dried the empty bottle by blowing inside it and filled it up with snow. We exchanged many a laugh over how difficult it was to get all that snow in, but when we were finally finished, Suo Kato held the bottle like it was a valuable piece of treasure. He seemed extremely pleased with the results. We both knew that the snow inside would turn to water in the morning, but neither of us said it out loud. Oh, it does go back to the regular route. Okay.
It does go back to the regular route. I am genuinely surprised this ended up at the fourth Friday again.
Yeah, it seemed like it had gone completely off the rails.
It seemed like this was going somewhere very different, but...
Tokyo, during the year in which the world was prophesied to end. The fourth Friday of the final month of the year.
Because there's also like no confrontation with Mamiya.
Yeah, not appearing in this arc, unlike
Even
all
the
others.
the invisible Mamiya. Yeah.
Natsume's memorial mass had ended, and the participants went to his grave. Outside the church, Suo Kato flashed a broad smile befitting his towering frame. Hello, Natsume. Hello, Suo Kato. The day finally came, huh? Yeah. The month passed by in no time. So many things happened, and it was all so fun. I'm glad I was able to reminisce about Natsume so much. An experience like this doesn't come often. It'd be great if all the fun memories we'd made could reach him, too. His smile washed even my tension away for a while. Maybe that was his intention. If so, it was clear that even now I still couldn't win against him. Let's go visit Natsume's grave. Okay. The public cemetery was in an open area some distance away from the church. Various graves were lined up in a clouded area sprinkled in green. We stopped in front of one. It was just like all the others, lacking any distinguishing features. And it belonged to Natsume Souichirou. In other words, me. A strong wind had swept over us both. Even so, Suo Kato remained firm and resolute as his eyes settled on Natsume's grave. The thing he chose to give him was... Wait, that's...
Is it the necklace? No,
Yeah.
the bottle of snow.
Yes, it's the bottle of snow we took home yesterday. Though it's going to be water by tomorrow. I see. I actually thought of giving him snow from the day you told us about his idea. I actually thought of giving him snow from the day you told us about his idea a month ago. You did? Why? My question made him put on a faint smile. I once made a snowman with him. It happened so long ago he might have forgotten it, but I know that his grave will be covered in snow next year, too. He can never leave the casket to witness the first snow ever again, though. And it makes me sad to think that he can't touch something that's so close to him. So I want him to greet winter while seeing the snow I gave him. He could touch some of it and treasure the rest. Suo Kato looked into the distance. There was nothing reflected in his eyes, not me, nor the scenery around us. All he saw was that warm memory he shared with Natsume on a cold winter day. I know this snow will eventually turn to water, but still. It's okay, I'm sure Natsume will understand. Will he? Yeah, he'll remember that snowy day too, I'm sure of it. I hope he does. The dance we mimicked by watching TV, the old maid-like card game we played, the children's songs we often sang. Suo Kato brought up countless memories during our meetings. None of them were related to objects, however. The fact that he chose something like snow, which would inevitably turn to transparent water, finally made me understand what he really treasured. I'm sure Natsume will be glad. We offered a brief prayer to Natsume's grave before walking away with a smile. Still, it's kind of sad that we'll stop meeting up like this. Oh, don't worry, there's still next week, so let's have some more fun. I guess you're right. Boy, I'm so relieved I'm feeling hungry all of a sudden. Why don't we grab something to eat then? Good idea. What did you have in mind? Well... Oh, sorry. Mind if I go to the bathroom for a bit? Sure. I'll be waiting for you right here. Thanks. That was just an excuse. Feeling emotional, I turned back toward the church to burn it into my eyes one last time. I guess that's it for my extended mass, as well as our final month together. So many things happened, and it all began right here at my funeral. As I gently placed my hand on the door of the church, a strange feeling of discomfort made my heart race. The extended mass was supposed to be over. It was our last Friday, yet there was still a faint discrepancy tugging at the back of my mind. What did he say? What did he say just a few moments ago?
There's always next week?
Yep. There's still next week.
I was wondering about that.
Next week? What did he mean? The month only had 4 Fridays. There was no next week. Then why? I suddenly became certain of something. I didn't intend to, but I did. It was the truth behind my peculiar feeling of discomfort. I saw a glimpse of something I shouldn't have. I can't make the story end. I can't make the credits roll. Before I reached the final page, there was still one thing left to do, and that was...
end my consciousness in this world. What the fuck?
interesting.
What?
I have to end my consciousness in this world. The memory of reaching this what-if outcome probably wouldn't even be a footnote. Everything here would be forgotten. I had no idea what would happen to the me who never reached this conclusion. I wish I could have started things over from before I interfered, but then I wouldn't make the same mistakes. Well, I should stop dreaming. It's okay. I believe in myself. Well then, good night, Suokato. This story has no ending.
Not ending? What the deuce?
Okay.
I've got so many. Can't make the credits roll. Can't. Suokato refuses to have it end.
What
Reach
the fuck?
chapter 4's ending. What?
What the fuck?
Maybe we have to go back to this and then skip over the spending time with them and just skip right to the end.
Maybe.
I think that's probably it, but
Well, dang.
I've got so many questions. And I'm going to need to sit on this for a bit. I don't have anything to share right now, but Suokato, what is your deal?
Definitely seems like Suo was the one who was closest to Natsume out of everybody, even though in Suo's first arc, he barely said a fucking word about Natsume at any point. And we were even like, wait, how does he know Natsume?
Yeah.
But no, he's
Childhood
clearly the one who's
friends
like a close
and-
childhood friend and has an unlimited store of valuable memories with him.
And yet. All right. We'll see you next time while I simmer over this for a little bit. All right. Bye, everyone.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.